starts of the week.
All right, let's do it. Jason, do you want to kick us off? Quarterback?
Sure. For the quarterback, you mentioned him, I believe, earlier this week, but my start of the week is Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is going to have as high a floor as you can have, but he also has an opportunity here against the 49ers. Remember, when the 49ers played Seattle just a couple weeks ago, they played them really well. They were in that game for a while. Now Seattle just lost at home to Arizona, and I feel like this is kind of like a double revenge factor. But the truth is, you have a high baseline and high upside. With coming off that loss, playing at home, they can run on the Niners. He can, and he can definitely throw on the Niners. So I just see he's only started in, what did you say, 39% of leagues.
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a matchup where if you've got him, I would start him.
All right, I'm going to go with my quarterback start of the week is Matthew Stafford. I know that might be painful to some former Stafford owners, but he faces Oakland. He's had some huge games this year. He's been in the 40s. He's had a lot of crap ones. I realize that, but this is a situation with starts of the week. Oakland is 26th against fantasy quarterbacks in terms of points given up, and he's coming off a 240-2 game. I think it's a good matchup. You know, he just beat Green Bay in Green Bay, and I like his streaming ability this week. And Mike actually just cheated on this one, and his quarterback start of the week, here's what he wrote. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to read it right to you. Stafford was the one I wanted, and I'm tired, so still Stafford.
Very nice.
That must have been after some Disneyland yesterday.
Well, there you go. We got the double Stafford. I'll go next to the running back, and I'll stick with Mike. Mike's running back start of the week is Gio Bernard. Arizona's very good against the run, but Arizona has been susceptible to pass-catching running backs. We saw that Mark Ingram ate him alive when he was just taking little screens. And so, yeah, Gio Bernard could be someone that you are afraid to start because of the Arizona matchup, but he should be able to eat in the pass-catching game. For myself, I spoke about that a minute ago, but I've got Jeremy Langford. I want to stay in the flames with Jeremy Langford. He has looked fantastic. It's going to be a cold game, which benefits handing the ball off, running it more. Lower scores keep the running backs involved. He's not going to get game flowed out of this game. So I like Langford. If you've got him, I would start him. If Forte comes back, obviously I would not just start Jeremy Langford.
All right, my running back start of the week is Charcandrick West. I know that's kind of at the top of the barrel there, but last week he was only 69% started. I'm sure after the big game that was going to change regardless, but he's bona fide, locked in as an RB1 this week. The Chargers are the worst team in football in terms of points given up to fantasy running backs, and that should absolutely continue this week with Charcandrick West. He's getting the lion's share, he's getting the pass game targets, and he's making Jamal Charles owners feel a little bit better about themselves if they picked him up. So I'll go ahead and start the wide receiver. It's Brandon Lafell for me. Brandon Lafell against Buffalo. Yes, there is the Danny Amendola factor, and everybody's all hyped up about him, but I expect Brandon Lafell to have, be a solid wide receiver to play on Monday Night Football, 9 to 10 targets in this game, and I think he might get in the end zone finally.
Yeah.
That's going to be my that'll be my prediction this week.
No, I like it a lot. My wide receiver start of the week is Amari Cooper. Obviously a super talented rookie wide receiver. Last week he got 5 for 79. He hasn't had it's been 5 games since he's had less than 5 receptions. So now he comes up against Detroit, and I know Detroit looked amazing against Green Bay, but that was just, that's one of those intense rivalries where they always rise to a certain occasion. Detroit is not that team. Detroit has not been that great against the pass, and Amari Cooper, I think you can start him because he has a decent baseline. He's not gonna go out there and put up 4 fantasy points and burn you. He's gonna be enough consistency to where you can put him in your lineup, get something for him, and he has the potential here to have an explosive game.
Mike's wide receiver start of the week is Stevie Johnson, and I like that a lot. He's pretty much the number 1 target there right now. I didn't like Gates, okay, because I thought Kansas City's giving up something like 31 yards a game to the tight end, or less than that, something ridiculous. They're playing very well against the tight end, and I like their offense. So this is a target play, I think, for Mike. The KC secondary has improved, but Stevie Johnson is just going to get the targets. Malcolm Floyd is out this week. Keenan Allen is out, obviously, for the season. So Stevie Johnson's somebody that you can kind of stream in there and I think get at least a baseline production. I'm going to speak, to that. So,
I like that a lot.
Okay, so let's talk tight end. I'll start with Mike's tight end start, and he makes it very simple. He says it's Eric Ebron, and then he writes in all caps, Oakland.
I think you mean Oakland.
Yeah,
because
that's what Ebron said when he saw the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, Oakland still all year has been eaten up. I realized this last week, Kyle Rudolph didn't eat them up. Yeah, but he dropped a wide open. Dropped a touchdown. It's like, you can't ask for more, or rather less, from the defense opposing. So I love the Eric Ebron pick. I would have picked him for mine if I hadn't had him last week. But mine, I decided to go a little bit lower. We're at the point in the season where injuries and other factors are coming in, and people need sometimes to go off of waivers. So I went with a stream type of guy, and that's Jacob Tamme. Jacob Tamme has had a few big volume games. Indianapolis gives up a lot of yards and receptions and recently touchdowns to the tight end. Hankerson is back to practice a little bit, but he's still coming up lame. So I think that you've got a matchup here that is going to need the tight end and use the tight end, and I expect a decent game from Tamme, especially if you're in a half-point or full-point PPR. I'd start him over a lot of other guys, including, as we said earlier, Jordan Reed.
It's about time Jacob Tamme got streamed.
Good.
There you go. So for me, it's Delaney Walker. I said it earlier. They don't have a lot of other pass-catching options. So I think 5 to 6 catches, 70 to 80 yards, and a chance at a touchdown is what you can expect tonight in the Thursday night football game. So if you're not feeling great about your tight end and you need to roll somebody in there, I'd roll Delaney Walker in there and see where the chips fall.
I like that a lot.
So those are our starts of the week, and that does it for today's show. We're going to have the rest of the fantasy forecast tomorrow. We should have Chris Meany on for our Daily Dose segment and some other things going on tomorrow. And do you have any parting words for our listeners, Mike? I just said Mike. Mike, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. Wait.
Mike? Okay. Jason, do you have any final thoughts?
I am going to be working out my knee to get over this injury to come back strong next week.
I had 4 touchdown passes.
Yes, you did.
I mean, that was probably the only bad throw I made all day. And honestly, you should have caught it. You should have caught it.
Probably just too slow. You threw a regular person, and I was out running like a...
That's okay. You were open. I should have hit you.
Yeah,
I apologize.
That's all right.
I blame Jay Cutler's mechanics video that I've been watching.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.